Less than 20 seconds. That is how much time transpired between an officer telling dispatch he was entering the home on 1125 Willie Street to a call of shots fired, all over radio communications. Experts say that's not far off from the average time an officer-involved shooting takes place, less than 30 seconds. So how is it possible for someone to make that life or death decision that quickly? Our Leah Linscheid talked with law enforcement experts to learn more.
19 years of age, name is Tony Robinson.
That's what Madison police heard over their radio Friday night, as one officer told dispatch he was entering an apartment at 1125 Willie Street.
1125, upstairs apartment.
17 seconds later, they heard this.
Shot fired, shot fired. 1247, copy, shots fired.
By the time that it takes you to sit down and start your car, that could be the amount of time that's equal to an officer has to make a deadly force decision. Draw your weapon, it's that fast.
Brian Landers is the Criminal Justice Department head at Madison College. Today he's training officers in Adams County when and how to use deadly force.
They have to weigh the severity of the crime, whether or not the person was actively resisting or taking flight, and also the imminence of threat or great bodily harm to the officer.
So when is it okay for an officer to draw his gun
Threat!
instead of a taser or a baton?
A taser is used when you have active resistance, and that is when a person is just not physically complying with you and potentially creates a risk of non-deadly harm to an officer. A baton application would be something like a person who is continually resisting and poses, a threat of harm to the officer. Draw! A firearm or deadly force is when an officer, again, feels that their life is in jeopardy.
Put your weapon down.
Landers says even an unarmed person can still pose a dangerous threat.
Draw it.
A person's hands and fists can be just as deadly as a bullet or a knife.
Stop, please.
It is an incredible burden to be placed upon a human being.
To make a life or death decision so quickly may seem incomprehensible.
Now, you're going to have to make a determination.
But Landers says it's a situation every officer is trained for.
Even though that it occurs in just several seconds, there are hours and years of experience behind that officer in their preparation for that time.
Leah Linscheid reporting. Landers also said roughly a quarter of officer-involved shootings also involves an unarmed person, as was the case with Tony Robinson. We now know that the Federal Department of Justice is monitoring the situation in Madison. We'll be right back.